Insubordination is a common reason for the termination in the workplace. What does insubordination mean? It means the willful refusal to comply with directives, rational rules, and regulations. There are three elements. The employee refuses to comply with an order. The refusal must be continual, willful, and intentional, and the order must be reasonable and legal and within the authority of the supervisor making the order. In the case of Barnes v. Spearfish School District No. 40, 2006, Jeannie Barnes was an elementary school teacher receiving annual evaluation as a part of school district policy. Those evaluations, which were conducted by her school principal, determined whether to recommend continuation or non-renewal of her contract. In her 9th year, Barnes' principal at the school was Hank Friedel. In that year's performance evaluation for Barnes, the school principal checked needs standards for each of the areas evaluated and then recommended her for continued employment. However, in the comments section, the principal noted her communication problems and selective participation in professional development activities. Barnes submitted a written response specifically challenging those comments, which was included in her personnel file. The school board found that the principal's evaluation was positive, but the letter response from Barnes was confrontational in tone, sought to establish an adversarial relationship, and exhibited a refusal to submit to supervision. 2 years later, the school principal drafted a memo to be included in her personnel file. The memo documented an incident where he requested that Barnes remove a couch from her classroom due to fire hazard. After the custodians removed the couch from her classroom, she directed them to return it. She then talked to the principal, who told her again that the couch needed to be removed. She next talked to the superintendent, who informed the school principal of the conversation. The principal again denied a request from Barnes to keep the couch and directed her to remove it. The principal also told Barnes that if she involved any employee in her attempt to keep the couch, he would consider it insubordination. Barnes refused to sign the principal's memo about the incident. She was given a copy of the memo, and the principal documented the meeting in another memo, noting her refusal to give her signature. Barnes defended her actions in keeping the couch and accused the principal of being unfair, unprofessional, and not keeping with the goals of the school district. The school board found that Barnes refused to follow the principal's reasonable orders and exhibited a refusal to submit to supervision. In the following year's performance evaluation, the principal identified areas needing improvement, particularly in communication, professional growth, and responsiveness to supervision. In his comment, the principal set forth specific examples to support his concerns and also listed what expectations he had for Barnes to improve in those areas. Ultimately, he recommended Barnes for continued employment. Barnes again contested those evaluations in writing. She argued that the school principal had failed to give her specific measurable objectives by which her future teaching performance would be adjudicated. She concluded her letter by stating, "I'm looking forward to a long career in the Spearfish school system in an environment that will become free from time-consuming, frivolous, and unethical intimidations." A couple months later, the school principal received a complaint from a student parent. The parent was concerned about a video Barnes showed in her classroom. The principal learned that Barnes showed the video to her third grade class without personally viewing it beforehand. Although the video was part of the school's library collection, the principal believed that it had vocabulary, concepts, and references to people and places that were well beyond third graders being able to handle without a good deal of support. The principal concluded that Barnes, not having reviewed the video first, was unable to assist her students in understanding the complex material. She was unable to judge the appropriateness of the material, and she was not fulfilling her responsibilities as a teacher. In the principal's meeting with Barnes, she would not concede that showing the video was a mistake. As a result, the principal drafted a letter of reprimand outlining his concerns and specifically setting forth a plan of action. Barnes defended that the video did a good job of explaining what a civilization was and why they were formed. She also made accusations stating that in the 4 years that Mr. Friedel has been my principal, this is just one of many overblown and deceptive judgments on my tenure that Mr. Friedel had used in his quest to get me fired or discouraged enough through reprisal to quit. The school board concluded that Barnes believed that being called to task for her mistakes is an injustice, and her statements were evidence of her general refusal to submit to authority, of her belief that she had some voice in policymaking within the district. At the end of the school year, the school principal evaluated her progress in the 3 areas needing improvement from the previous evaluation. He explained that her approach to his supervision was confrontational. Her communication skills were ineffective in bringing about the needed improvement, and her commitment to growth was limited because she has difficulty reflecting on mistakes she has made. In this evaluation, the principal Friedel informed Barnes that he would be transferring to another building and would no longer be her supervisor. However, he told her that he would suggest to the new school principal that at the beginning of the school year, the 2 of you identify a plan to address the areas needing improvement and that an evaluation be completed next year to document progress in those areas. Under the new principal, Barnes faced ongoing evaluations focusing on communication and response to supervision. Despite some improvements, challenges persisted, and she continued to dispute the evaluation and improvement plans. By February 2004, after several conferences and documented disagreements, the new principal recommended against Barnes' continued employment, citing repeated performance issues and insubordination. Following a school board hearing and subsequent legal challenges, Barnes appealed to the state's highest court, arguing over the definition of insubordination and framing her actions as self-defense as advised by her union representatives. After a 4-day hearing, the school board concluded that the school district policy was followed, noting a September 2003 conference and a subsequent January 2004 conference and additional meetings. The school board found Barnes' response to supervision attempts unsatisfactory and her behavior aggressive and insubordinate, thereby supporting the non-renewal decision. Barnes appealed this decision to the circuit court, arguing the school board had no just cause for non-renewal, acted arbitrarily and capriciously, and failed to comply with the school district policy's procedural requirements. The Supreme Court of the South Dakota ruled in favor of the school district. The court concluded that there was sufficient evidence to suggest the school board and administrators were exercising their legitimate authority and their directives were reasonable. This case underscores the importance of transparent evaluation processes, adherence to policies, and the importance of thorough documentation in making personnel decisions. In a different case, School District Number 1 v. Cornish 2002, the insubordination involved a teacher's refusal to teach the approved math curriculum. The teacher believed this curriculum did not meet state standards, indicating a professional disagreement with the curriculum's content. Beyond the curriculum issue, the teacher also refused to comply with the directive to provide lesson plans as requested by the principal. This added layer of non-compliance with administrative directives contributed to the characterization of her action as insubordination. The Colorado Court of Appeals affirmed the school district's decision of the dismissal of a teacher for insubordination, neglect of duty, and other just cause. The court concluded that the teacher was insubordinate for refusing to teach the approved math curriculum, not distributing the designated textbook to all students, and not complying with a request for lesson plans. The teacher also neglected her duties by failing to teach the approved curriculum, not distributing textbooks, and allowing her teaching license to lapse. The court's decision implies a recognition of the authority of school districts to determine curriculum content and enforce compliance among their staff. Again, in insubordination cases, the supervisor's directives must be reasonable. For example, demanding teachers to change student test scores is unethical and illegal, as it falsifies academic records and undermines the integrity of the educational system. This action not only breaches professional ethics, but also can lead to criminal charges for both the principal and the teachers involved. Such conduct may constitute fraud, forgery, tampering with official documents, which are criminal offenses. If convicted, individuals may face fines, probation, or even imprisonment. Another example of unreasonable directives is to impose unrelated job responsibilities, such as assigning tasks that fall well outside an employee's job or expertise area. An employee is asked by her supervisor to take on substantial load of administrative tasks, including data entry, scheduling, and paperwork management. Those responsibilities are not part of her job, and she recognized that they consume a significant amount of time that should ideally be dedicated to her primary job responsibilities. When the employee approaches the supervisor to discuss her concern, the supervisor accuses the employee of lacking teamwork and frames her action as insubordination. The supervisor asserts that all staff members should be flexible and willing to take on additional tasks when required, regardless of their job description. In this case, accusing the employee of insubordination may be inaccurate because she is not refusing tasks arbitrarily, but is concerned about their impact on her primary job responsibilities. While teamwork is important, it should not override the boundaries defined by job descriptions. Teamwork should be balanced with a clear understanding of individual roles and responsibilities. Insubordination does not mean that supervisors can simply bark arbitrary commands and expect employees to unquestionably comply with them. Supervisors are expected to provide clear and reasonable instructions within the frameworks of employees' job descriptions and the organization's policies. Supervisors must also consider job descriptions and the impact of additional tasks on employees' ability to fulfill their primary responsibilities before labeling actions as insubordination. Employees, on the other hand, are expected to follow reasonable directives unless they have valid reasons or concerns related to job boundaries, ethics, legality, or other legitimate reasons. The key is to maintain a balanced and professional relationship where directives are based on legitimate needs and employees have the ability to voice concerns and objections when necessary. Understanding your employment contract and employee handbook is important, because those documents define the scope of your responsibilities and the circumstances under which you may face disciplinary actions or termination. It's also important to be aware of what constitutes reasonable and unreasonable directives in your workplace. Here is my question for you. How would you approach a situation where you believe you're being asked to perform tasks or follow directives that contradict your understanding of your role or compromise your professional ethics? Please leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.